Okay, this is Lab 2.2, Part 1, Project 8-2, and it's on page 341 and 342 in your book, and this is the picture here. The directions are on the previous page. You need to set up these layers first. You need to start with the AutoCAD.dwt, and I've already done that over here. So I've already created these layers, and I'm going to look at those. I've already created my layers. I've already set some colors I like, and I've already set the line weight for those. And you just click on that and pick whatever the chart says. You'll also have to set the line type, and that's just going to be the center and the hidden. So you click on the word continuous or whatever's there, and they're not going to be in here. The only thing that'll be in here is the word continuous. So you're going to say load, and you're going to find the hidden line type down here somewhere, and you're going to do the same for the center. Now once you load that, it's going to put it into this list here, and this list here doesn't mean you're going to apply it to this this layer right here. So what you need to do is it's going to be stuck on continuous or whatever you used last. So in this case I'm on the hidden layer here, and I'm just going to make sure I click on hidden and have that highlighted, so when I say OK, that'll change. If you don't do that, it's just going to always stay on the continuous. And then I'm done with my layers for now, and I've created those, and it says we're going to create 3 views. We're going to use the fillet, the LT scale, and we don't need to add dimensions to the drawing, so that's good. We'll get done a little quicker. Now you're going to go through, and here's your drawing, and it's probably a small metal piece, and you're going to draft that out real quick. Okay, so the easiest way I think to draw this is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to just draw a big L. I find that the easiest way to get started. In your other exercises you might have used the X line or the ray command to do these construction lines, but I'm on my object layer when I draw, and this is a pretty small part. It's only 1.548 wide and 1.5 long and 1.423 tall. So I'm just going to offset 1.423. Go over here. 1.423. It's going to give me my height. So offset from here to there. You can see that's pretty small, so I'm going to zoom in down there. Then I'm going to offset 1.5. So offset 1.5 from here to there. And it's not very big, so I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to offset 0.5 to give me the space between my 2 orthographic views, and I'm just going to delete that stuff because I don't need it. Now I'm going to offset 1.548. Offset 1.548. And that completes my orthographic views. Now I need to get my hidden lines here, and I need to get my internal information here. So what I'm going to do is pick out some of the smaller information. Now most of the information is going to be this big circle here and these small holes going through it here. So I'm going to start with the object information first and get that drafted. And probably the easiest way to do that is going to be, now this is datum dimensioned, so it's a little bit different than something you might have seen before, but it's no big deal. It has a 0 reference, and it gives you a distance from that 0 reference. So that's pretty good. So I think I'm going to make that a little larger so we can see it, and I'm going to zoom in here, and let's see, I think I'm going to draw probably this top view first. So let's do that first. So I have an offset of 0.294. So I'm going to offset 0.294 from, now you got to kind of keep track of what you're doing, and I'm going to offset 0.544, and I'm just going to move from the left to the right, always offsetting from the far left because it's datum dimension from the 0. And then I'm going to offset, what's that say, 0.899 from here to there, and I'm going to do it again, 1.149 from here to there. And it looks a little confusing, but it's not too bad yet. So they have here these two holes that we're going to assume that they're lined up because we're not given any other information. And we're going to do our offsets going up. So I'm going to say, come back over here, say offset. And again, from the bottom up, 0.658 from the bottom up. And then I'm going to offset 1.078 from the bottom up. Now it looks like I got a mess, but it's really not too bad. Oh, I'm missing one. 0.238. Offset 0.238. Offset 0.238 from the bottom up. Okay. Now the rest is going to be pretty simple. Let's see. We need to find out what the diameters of the circles are, and that's going to be right here. It says it's a diameter of 0.1255. It's great. So I'm going to say circle, and I'm going to start with this bottom one. So this here. Nope, this one here. This one's smaller, 0.125. So I'm going to say circle here with a diameter, so D for diameter, 0.1255. And there it is. Now I already drew that circle once, so all I got to do is hit enter again, pick that intersection, and hit enter again, and it'll duplicate that circle for me. So now I need to draw these two larger holes here. So I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to put it on that intersection, and it says right here it has a radius of 0.085. Okay, so I'm going to, it defaults to wanting to draw a radius, so I'm going to say 0.085, enter. And since I did that once, all I got to do is hit circle, pick my center point, and I don't have to enter it again, and that ought to go really quick for you. Now, in your D settings, under your object snap, it shows us that, oh, those are my 3D. It shows us that I've got intersections selected only. So my next few things, it's going to be easier if I have my quadrants turned on. So I'm going to say okay, turn those on. And now I'm just going to draw a line from quadrant to quadrant. I guess I could have used the intersection because I have all those construction lines still. And if I take a look at that, then all of that is complete. Again, trim, enter, enter, and you can just trim out the things you need to go away. Okay. I have an object line up here that I missed. 1.361, so offset 1.361 from here to there. Okay, that gives me this little section here. Now, I have at this bottom this 1.88 that I need to add. Offset 1.88. I'm going to go from here to there, and from here to there. And don't forget this side piece over here. Now it looks like, I'm going to trim these out, it looks like here, it's got these lines here. Those aren't actually there. Those are just the dimension lines, so we can get rid of those. Okay, so I need to add my circle here. And it says it's a drill with a diameter of 0.266 with a counter bore with a diameter of 0.563 and a depth of 0.07. Okay, that depth of 0.07 is this little section right here. Okay, counter bore means there's so imagine you had to put a bolt in here. The head of the bolt would be recessed to flush with the surface of the part. The bolt would go through, and then the head would be flush. So, and you can see it kind of looks like a little top hat. So here we go. I'm going to draw that circle. I'm going to say offset 0.75 from here to here, so I can find my center, and offset 1.045 from the bottom up. That's it. So now I can just worry about my two diameters. I'm going to say circle on this intersection with D for diameter, 2.66. Ooh. So I missed a decimal. So there's my circle. So let me delete that. Okay. So circle, that intersection, D for diameter, 0.266. And my other diameter, 0.563. So circle, that intersection, D for diameter, and what did I say it was? 0.563. There it is. You can erase your construction lines. Or better yet, I'm going to leave my construction lines. I'm going to show you why in a minute. We have some center information that we need to put in. We have our hidden line information we need to put in. So I'm going to take these two lines and I'm simply going to go to their properties and put it on the center layer. And my center layer seems to be white, so that's not quite what I wanted. So I'm going to come back over here to my layers and make my centers yellow. And that's it. Close my layers. Okay. So now, why did I leave that? So if I offset, let's say this is a pretty small part. So typically I would like offset 0.12. Whoops. I would offset 0.125. But if I do, it's gonna be a little larger than I want. So I'm going to offset 0.0625, and that ought to look pretty good. And I'm going to close that. And now I have something that I can trim to. So I'm going to trim that circle out and get that little piece there. Now what I have is two even lines. Now typically if I see a student make a mistake, it's going to be right here. And what they will do is they'll draw a line, say, from the midpoint here over here to the quadrant. Well, that's not going to give me a line going all the way across. So I'm going to undo that. And the reason I need that line is because in the book, it wants us to cover this LT scale command right here. So if I do that, what they want me to do is come over here and type LT scale. And I'm going to change that to like 0.5 and see what happens. I didn't see anything happen, so I'm going to change that to 0.25. And you can see that my center line just appeared. If I have a line going from the center here to the quadrant, that's not going to give the line type sufficient length of line to draw that dash in the right spot. So that's how I draw my my center lines. And I think you'll find that that's going to give you the nicest center lines. I think that works better than the dimension command. So what I'm going to do is I'll come over here, and what I should have done is drawn I should have left my circles maybe, and then offset them. But you can always just redraw them. And I'm going to draw a line from my quadrants. And then I can just delete that circle. Change my properties on that center line. And you can see it didn't change. So that's a little bit of a problem because I only have one LT scale command. And if I change that to say 0.125, now I don't get a nice center cross here, but I not get a nice cross there. So okay, so what I'm going to do, I think there's more of these than there are of those. So I'm going to come over here, select this object, and change this line type scale in my properties to 2. So I have an LT scale set to an 1/8, and a line type scale on this object set to 2, which is going to make that 1/8 a quarter. So then I think probably the easiest way to put these center lines in is to just go from that and put it to this center, to this center, to this center, to this center, to this center. And those look pretty good. Now you have to draw your hidden lines. Hidden lines, we're going to make a quick mess of the drawing, and we're going to clean it up really quick after that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my layers to hidden. And I'm just going to start drawing. All of these lines here are going to go directly down to this bottom bit. Oh, got an extra line in there. Okay, they're going to be hidden lines in here. So then when I trim it, I'm going to select trim, hit enter, pick those as my boundary, hit enter, and get rid of those. Get rid of those. Whoops. And if I come back to my book, we need to look back and see what it wants us to do. Here you can see that these holes go all the way through the part, but this does not go all the way through the part. It says it's 0.130 deep, so that's a piece of cake. Offset 0.1, whoops, come over here. Offset 0.130. Click, click. Drop that down in there with the offset command, and I'm just going to trim that up. And select that. I'm going to put that on my hidden layer. There you go. That's it. So that's not quite it. You need to have your center lines shown down here as well. So you can see here they're showing a single center line, and here they're showing a single center line. So we're just going to follow those directions. And I'm going to, so watch this, I'm going to just draw a line from the midpoint here all the way down, and I'm going to draw a line from the midpoint here all the way down. I'm going to do my offset of 0.0625 again. I'm going to trim based on those two lines I just offset. Close, get rid of those, and change those two new lines to centers. And they look pretty good too. So that's how you'll go about doing the rest of this. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I've quickly gone through and added these construction lines from the quadrants of this circle. So I've got the outside and the inside circle where I drew them up and over. So those areas are going to be, they're going to be trimmed from so that these lines are shorter. And you notice I'm not trimming that center line, because that needs to extend past the part. Center lines always extend past the part just a little bit. Oh, I'll get rid of those. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that center line just right now. Offset 0.0625 up and down and over and over. And then I'm going to trim based on those cutting edges so that that center line extends just a little beyond the actual object of the part. Okay, so now we've got some information here about that counter bore, that it's 0.07 deep, so that's easy to deal with. I'm going to come over to one view for starters and say 0.070. Oops, I didn't type, did I? Offset 0.070 and go from here to here, and then I'm going to trim the bottoms of the counter bore and then the top of the drill. Okay, and then you just simply take that and put it on the hidden layer. There's your little top hat. Do the same thing up here. offset, trim, enter, enter, bottoms of the counter bore, the top of the drill, and then change that layer. There you go. Now, you need to put this information over here. You can see here in the drawing that we've got a couple of different holes, and we have 3 different holes. So I need to put those into this view. Now, if I follow standard orthographic procedure, what I would do is I would draw, let me change my layer to something I can work with. I can work with anything, I guess. So line from this intersection, I'm going to say at. It's a pretty small part, so I'm just going to say like 10 caret, which should be the less than symbol on the keyboard, just above the space bar. And I'm going to say 45 degrees, and draw that 45 degree miter line up there. Now, what this is going to let me do, so I'm going to change to an object layer. All I'm going to do is from those intersections or those quadrants is transfer all this information over past the line just a little bit. You can go right up to the line or you can go past the line. I always go past the line. So now all I have to do is bring it down. And I will have my got an extra line. My 3 holes in there. Doesn't look like much, but when I say trim, select these 2 as my cutting edge and trim those out. Select those lines in the middle and say, I really think you should be hidden. Look at that. There they are, my 3 holes. Now, that's not quite finished yet. This one here, this small one, has a depth of 0.130. So I'm going to offset 0.130. Trim. I'm going to select these are my boundaries and get rid of that and change that to a hidden line. Now have my 3 holes in my right side view. But what I don't have is my center lines, so that's a piece of cake. I'm going to change my layer to center. I'm going to draw a line. Because that miter line is 45 degrees, this works really well. The distance from here to here is the same. The distance from here to here is the same. All my sizes transfer 1 to 1 because that's a 45 degree line. But you got to make sure that's a 45 degree line. I'm going to say offset 0.0625. Now, I'm going to take a look. Offset that down. You can see that's going to be a little strange. But I'm going to run with it. I'm going to trim based on, whoops, I'm going to do that. I'm going to trim based on this cutting line, and this one. And I'm going to trim that back. And I'm going to trim this one back twice. Now see, sometimes you see I click and I didn't grab it because I clicked between the dashes. So you just got to keep clicking till you are not between the dashes. Delete those lines, delete that little line there, and that's how it should look. Delete my construction lines, and that will complete Lab 2.2 Part 1 Project 8-2.